imagine like this stuff, Louis Vuitton bag, four-wheelers, boats, a stack of cash or something. And I'm laying in bed and I have all these things that I worked so hard for, and I'm laying wide awake or I'm crying because the thing that I want most that I thought I was working so hard for is absent from my life. I got rid of all that stuff that I thought was going to make me happy, and I gained my time with my kids, with my husband. I don't have to trade anymore. I gained my freedom back. So that to me makes me the richest person in the world. The peace and the time and the happiness. I get to make those memories with my kids. And that is what I get to take with me to heaven.
Every immigrant has a story of love, heartbreak, and resilience. I'm Claudio Munoz. After 30 years in the United States, I created this podcast to share the voices that once helped me survive. These stories have power, they guide, heal, and inspire, especially when you're far from home or about to leave. I share some of mine, now I want yours. We are all immigrants, those who leave, return, or dream, because being an immigrant is being intense. Right, so we are recording right now. So I had Crystal with me today. I saw Crystal social media. Some of the things I do, I'm on social media looking for stories. I don't want people think of immigration just a Mexican or Latin person living in the U.S. Immigrants are all over the world, and this is why I want your story, because you were living in Iowa and went to Mexico, changed your life, and I made other stories like that, and I want those stories because people migrate for different reasons, right? It's not just about money, or there's other reasons, and I wanted your stories. I need to know more about Crystal. I want to know about her story. So thank you. You're here. I have you here. So I'm gonna let you take the microphone and kind of share a little bit. You introduce yourself, and then we go with questions and stuff.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, thank you so much for having me. So my name is Crystal, and I moved my family of 5 from Iowa to Oaxaca, Mexico 2 months ago. And while we moved, for many reasons, I would say one of the main reasons is because my husband is a Mexican national, and he had spent most of his adult life in the United States and had many years separated from his 2 children that were here and his family. Another reason is because for me personally, my family is actually from Mexico as well, 4 generations back. And so my grandpa was full Mexican. His parents migrated from Michoacan to Chicago. So my grandfather was born in Chicago. And so we grew up learning the Mexican culture, eating the food, dancing the cumbias, and having the parties and everything. So I think my entire life, I wanted to learn more about where I came from, where my family came from. And I think that attracted me to the Mexican culture even more. And so hence I married a Mexican man, and some of my best friends are from Mexico as well. And so, I think really our hearts were always in Mexico, and we always knew that Mexico was going to be the plan.
That's fantastic. I don't want, sometimes people think when I contact people, right, and I want to have it on my podcast, they think that they have to have a dramatic story. Mm-hmm. And they have, it doesn't have to be a dramatic story. Mm-hmm. I like your story because there's different reasons why you guys are moving. And for what I learned, looking at your platform, which you have a lot of followers, you got some great stories, great information over there. You guys were looking for more of a peaceful life, right?
Yes, yes.
I can understand your husband. I mean, I know your husband had different reasons, like, he wanted to see his kids. For me, I had 30 years in the United States. A little bit more than maybe 32, something like that. And I got caught up in the making money, the American life, which is consuming and buying stuff and more and more and more. You're never happy with anything. And I'm talking for me, right? I'm not trying to push my personal experience. But so for me, it's like, leaving to Mexico like you guys did to find a more peaceful life. I mean, that's also a thing. And people make those choices, not just because they want more money. They just want, maybe they have less, but they have a more peaceful life. So that's something that I wanted to hear from you, right? Because you guys are, that's one of the reasons, right?
Right. Yeah. So I always say first and foremost, because of family, right? Secondly, it was to live a slower and calmer life. So I can attest to the hustle and bustle of the U.S. My husband and I worked very, very hard to build the life that we had. We had three businesses. I had a successful career in the financial industry world. I served on boards, was a volunteer director in the community. Our kids were busy in activities, church activities, sports. We had, a daughter playing college softball. And so and we had all the things. We had all the things, right? We had an acreage, we had nice vehicles, boats, camper, toys, four-wheelers, all the things. And I remember my husband and I just looking back, like, we literally go to work nonstop. We have maybe an hour at night with our kids if we're lucky, which was rare if they had sports. We'd be on vacation in Siesta Key, Florida, and we'd be on calls with work. And I'll never forget it. It was a few years ago. We were in Siesta Key, and my husband's like, "Are you really going to take that meeting right now?" Our kids were sitting just a feet away from us playing in the sand. And that was my norm, working during vacations, right? Because if I didn't, when I got back from vacation, I was going to be overwhelmed, right? And I mean, my anxiety level, I had sleepless nights. I went to bed crying a lot because I felt like I didn't give my kids enough time, right? Because I was so busy trying to keep up with the Joneses, right? Keep up with this lifestyle that we'd created for ourselves, because we were like, oh, the more things that we have, right? We had a boat and camper, but it wasn't often that we could go boating and camping, right? And then when we were on vacation, we'd be working, and it was exhausting. And, I fell into this depression in 2020, and I had severe anxiety, panic attacks, and I'd never experienced anything like that in my life. And that was when we had this awakening, and we were like, something has to change. So we both have adult children, right? So we watched them grow up in the blink of an eye. We watched how hard that we worked, sometimes 2 jobs, so we could provide for them, but really not giving them what they needed most, which was time with their parents, right? And we just knew from that experience that we didn't want to raise our little kids that way. We knew that we wanted to have more quality time. We wanted to have a better quality of life. And I haven't slept as good as I've slept since being in Mexico.
Listen, look, I'm getting goosebumps right now because I can relate to your story to the teeth.
Yeah.
That's how much I can relate to your story. That's great, because once I moved here, I wanted to be better, right? I have the idea, like, when you make a drastic move, it's always for better. It cannot be for the worse. So for me, migrating from Argentina, where I was born, I came to the U.S. with the energy to become someone, not just to be the same person I was. And that's what I did. So I usually tell people, like, you create some sort of a tunnel vision, right? Because you're in this tunnel, you not look to the side, you never look back, look forward. You go after that light at the end of the tunnel, and you do that. You go, and then, if you're lucky, you succeed with your career. Well, lucky, I don't know if we call it lucky, because it's really, really hard work, right? Mm-hmm. And I made it to the corporate world, so I understand what you're saying, because being on vacation, you gotta answer your phone, that kind of stuff. And being in the corporate world, it looks so fake, right? Everything around you is fake. Like, I mean, that's the feeling, not that it's actually fake. I want to make that clear, but I always thought, as an immigrant, looking at these people, they have all this lecture stuff, this lecture life and stuff, and what do we feel like to be there? And I'm telling you, it's an empty feeling. That's what I learned.
It is.
It's very political. You constantly try to improve yourself, that you worth to be there, especially as an immigrant, right? Because I compete with some very smart people, and it's tough. It's tough. Every day I wake up, I had to put what I call my custom, right, to prove who I am, and, some sort of a movie character, and go there and show, this Argentinian guy that has an accent, got to prove that he belongs in the corporate world. And that adds a layer of stress, but it also, the way your life is not, it's not attractive anymore. You have all this stuff, you have the money that you wanted, you have all the toys that you were talking about, you can travel the world, but you're in this bubble you're in this bubble where you have all these things, but you don't know how to get out. And that costs you, like you said, sleep problem, not enjoying life. There's something empty. I just don't know how to describe it or call it. And my wife and I, we've been thinking, where are we going to live? We are in the same thoughts that you were before you left, right? We want to find a place where we can enjoy life, maybe even live with less. We know that, I mean, it's kind of tough to make that decision where you have all this stuff and you know you're going to have a little bit less. You don't want to have the same life, but you exchanging um, those things for having more time, because that's the
Mm-hmm.
only thing I haven't accomplished is
Mm-hmm.
time. I never
Mm-hmm.
accomplished time. So I can relate so much with the story, and it's great because it's not a dramatic story. It's just you guys migrated just to have more time with your family, right?
Mm-hmm.
Have a more peaceful life, and it's not about everything about money and having things. It's not about that, but you don't know until you get there. I
Mm-hmm.
know that people are gonna be watching the podcast that they're gonna be saying, yeah, I barely have food on my table. You know, they're gonna, you're saying all this stuff because you're already there. Really, I was on both sides. I was when I didn't have anything, and I'm on the side where I have things that most
Mm-hmm.
people don't have. I have a great life, and I'm able to experience both sides. So, but if you don't experience both sides, you will never know that emptiness that we talk about. You will never know that unless you experience the other side. And some people don't make it, but the reality is like happiness is not about money or not having money, right? It's about being happy, maybe having time or whatever you think is valuable to you. Because I left Argentina looking for a better life, and there's a lot of people that migrate to Argentina for a better life. Did that make sense? I don't know.
Yeah, let me paint this vision for you. So, this is how I think about my life. I had everything, I had all the things, right, that basically stole my time away from me. I traded my time for these things, and I would lay in bed at night. Now, let me just paint this vision for you. I would lay in bed at night, wide awake, right? Just imagine like this stuff, Louis Vuitton bag, four-wheelers, boats, a stack of cash or something. And I'm laying in bed and I have all these things that I worked so hard for, and I'm laying wide awake or I'm crying because the thing that I want most that I thought I was working so hard for is absent from my life, right? And
Right.
then I sell everything. Like I have nothing. It doesn't matter what purse you don't have. It doesn't matter if your clothes match here, okay?
Right.
Nobody
Right.
cares about what handbag you have. So
Right.
now I lay in bed, right? And I've got my husband in my arms, or maybe my kids coming in the morning, right?
Yeah.
And I sleep peacefully, and I don't have all that junk. I don't have all those things, right? I got rid of all that stuff that I thought was going to make me happy, and I gained my time with my kids, with my husband. We have so much time. Our kids, you can just see a huge difference in our kids and in our relationship. My husband and I promised our kids that we would walk them to school every single day and pick them up. I never had the opportunity to be at home when my kids got home from school. And every day, when they open up those school doors and I'm standing right there and I see my kids' face, the smile that they get on their face,
Right.
that is priceless. That is
Right.
priceless. After we get back from taking our kids to school, my husband and I make a coffee. We go sit up on the rooftop and we have a nice morning chat.
That's
Never got
incredible.
those are the things right there, that time I don't have to trade anymore. I gained my freedom back. So that to me makes me the richest person in the world, because I
Right.
have the peace and the time and the happiness. I get to make those memories with my kids. And that is what I get to take with me to heaven. That's what I get to leave behind when I go to
Right.
heaven. It is the memories that I'm making with my family now. And I get to give my little kids a different life and more of us present parents.
Right.
They're 4 and 8 and 16, the kids that we still have in the
Right.
home, but they get to see present parents that are here, that have energy to take them to the park and play every single night. That's something
Right.
that our older kids missed out on because we were hustling for all these things and selling our soul to the devil, like selling our life away. It's just a
That
different feeling, and it's like you said, it's really hard to explain if you haven't experienced it. The quality of life is different here. The quality of life is different here. And to
right.
me, I've gained so much more than anything that I could have given up in the United States.
Right. And that's amazing. That's great. And I want to tell people I'm not looking for dramatic stories. I want all stories because all
Yeah.
stories had a different message. I relate to yours in many different ways. I'm happy to meet someone that we kind of understand what we're talking about, because when I tell people that I want more time, they don't understand, right? I was talking with, I have one of my good friend of mine here, retired. He announced his retirement Thursday. So we were having a group of conversation. I have a few managers that report to me, right, at my job. And one person is like, "Oh, I don't know what I would do if I retire." It's like, and I'm like, "Okay, wait. I think there's a misconcept of what is retirement and what is lazy, because a lot of people think that not working, like for money, is being lazy. And if you retire young and you go fishing, you go hunting, you go travel the world if you can, or you spend more time with your kids, or even if you can't travel, you want to build furniture at your house, or you want to restore a car that you like, or you want to go hiking, whatever you can do with money or less money, doesn't matter. There's a lot of things you can do. That's living life. That's not being lazy. Now,
Mm-hmm.
you want to sit on the couch and eat chips all day and drinking, I call that lazy if you retire. But at the end of the day, if you work all your life and that's what you want to do, that's your life. I don't care. I'm not judging anyone. But we are so caught up in this system where since we're little, since we're 4 years old, right? That we got early to go to school. We train to be these hardworking people, to be machines, right? Where the 8 hours of your life or more, depends on how much you want in life, you're going to give that to work and make money and less time for your family. And you learn that, and it's so impregnated in your brain that when someone try to tell you something different, you think is wrong. So this person is like, oh, I don't know, I could never retire younger. It's like, why? What? So that kind of the stuff that made me think, sometimes people, we have a hard time understanding because they're so brainwashed by the system, right? What I call system. And, but that's insane, because the system push people to migrate for more money, or people like you or myself that we're looking for something different to get out of it. Right? You on a way, every country has a system. It's not like only the US, but you were able to make some adjustment and get out of this consumer society, which we are in the United States, which is really tough.
Yeah. I just remember looking back and thinking, like, every morning when I woke up and I looked in the mirror, and I was proud of everything that I accomplished. We were very successful business owners. Our kids had everything they needed. We had a beautiful home. We had a beautiful life, like you just mentioned. But I remember looking in the mirror thinking, is this really all God created me to be? Like, is this really it? Like, is this it? Is this what I'm supposed to be doing? Like, I always questioned the norm.
Right.
I always questioned the norm because I felt like there was something better that I could, that life had to offer me. I always felt that way. And like you mentioned, the corporate world, right? Gosh, going to meetings, sitting around meetings, and you're just like, okay, hey, we got to sign up for this event, and we would have galas. And, I had a very professional, high level career, and that it wasn't just work, it was outside of work. Then your phone, I was in leadership too, so your phone rang all the time. And, even if you weren't working, you were working, and it's just like, it's a revolving circle that you're right. You get brainwashed and you think that this is what I'm supposed to be doing with my life because this is what everybody tells me I'm supposed to be doing. Right. But for me, I just kept thinking, like, I know that my life was meant for more. Like I always pushed the norm. Right. And yes, granted, for 20 plus years, I lived my life like that, but there was always something inside of me, like, there's got to be more. And I look myself in the mirror and I think, gosh, Crystal, there's got to be more. There's got to be more to this life. We're not born to slave away to 8 to 5, whatever, 9 to 5. But really, it's 10 hours a day by the time you get ready, and then you drive home, and you maybe have an hour at night with your kids, but you're packing it full of making dinner, giving baths, doing homework, all the things, and your life flashes before your eyes. And then you wake up one day and you're like, holy buckets, like what happened? I didn't want to live that life anymore. I didn't want to live like that anymore.
You have to be proud of your accomplishment because it's not easy. It's not easy for anybody. And when you make it, when you made it to the corporate world, right? Everybody that makes it everybody that is at that level is very competitive, right? And it's all about what you have, what they have. It's all about these fancy hotels and dinners and expensive wine. And they're talking about, when I was in Europe last week, and when you when my first time getting there, I remember I worked in the healthcare industry. I work in technology, right? Excuse me. And I remember the first time I got my executive role. We went to a restaurant. There was a bunch of doctors and stuff, and everybody's eating. So we had a whole table for ourselves, and they brought this thing with this table with all different kind of drinks, wines, and stuff. And some of the bottles were like $3,000. And I'm sitting there. I couldn't comprehend what was going on to me, what's happening to me. And I thought was the best thing in the world. And at that time, I was thinking, imagine the people in Argentina see me what I am right now. Or even my family, because I can describe my family what that is. They will never understand what the corporate world is from the inside. They don't get it. And you get a lot more things for free. Like when you're in the corporate world, you not only make more money, you get a lot of stuff for free. You get to enjoy things for free. And I'm thinking, I was so excited. And as the time goes on, that light was just getting lower and the intensity of that light was going out. It just it wasn't fun anymore because it's a circle where you constantly have to prove yourself, right? How you talk, how you behave, who you hanging out with, right? The political thing, like who you're going to vote for, all the stuff that matters because who you're going to vote for could also affect the company you work for. All these little things that you get to know. And what I knew is like I was constantly under stress and still, because that's still my job. So my dream right now of this and the platform that I'm building for mental health is to have more time. So, and this is going to sound crazy because I want to, once I have the platform ready and start hiring people, I just want 3-day work. I don't want a full week of work. I have a crazy idea. I don't know how we're going to do it. I told my partner lives in Spain and I say, call me crazy, but this is what I want. I want people to have more time because I want more time. I don't want more money. I want more time. And money is necessary. So we don't want to pretend here that we don't need money because money is necessary. That's how the world is built. You can't do anything without money. You can't eat, right? But that's one of the things that my goal is to have more time. And I'm doing this because I'm an immigrant. I think people think being an immigrant is wrong, and it's not, right? You're a great person with your family, changing your life. You're not going to Mexico to damage anything. You just want to enjoy and benefit from something they have, a slower paced life, right? All this stuff. And I'm not here to damage anything. I'm here because I truly love the United States. It gave me a lot by my own choice. They didn't force it to me. I came here because I want it. So I'm not going to pretend here I'm going to blame the United States no, I love it. And I learn and I get on my spirit because of I'm here. That being said, we have to, I don't know, I think time is something that we need to consider, at least from my perspective, but everybody has to live their own experience, right?
Yeah, I agree with that. Like you said, we need money, but money is the tool. Money is the byproduct, right? So like you said, for me, it's not even about the money, right? Yes, I need it. It's a tool. But for me, it is about the happiness, the quality of life, more time with my kids, more time with my husband, the presence of our family being together, doing things and it doesn't have to be anything special. Like I said, having energy to go to the park every night with my kids to play and not be on my phone, right? To be able to play with them, to go take a walk outside and not be too tired or stressed out. And so for me, I feel like it never really, like moving here, I guess, right? Because we obviously had to prepare. We had to have money, right? But it never really was about the money. It was about the happiness, the time freedom. And that's why we worked so hard to plan to move here, right? The money was a tool to get us the life that we wanted. But if you ask me, like all the things, all the hours I put in at work, all the money I spent on things, right, to keep up with the Jones, the bags, the shoes, the vehicles, it's gone. Like it is gone. It is gone. It's either we sold it or, it was wasted money. So I sold my time. I sold my life. There's 20 years of my life I'm never going to get back for things that I don't have, for things that I have lost, time with my children, time with my husband. And so like you said, it's really not about the money. Money's important. It's a tool, but it is a byproduct, right? Because I am after happiness, quality of life, peace, nights where I can sleep, right? No anxiety, no worries. I'm not going to say life is perfect. We don't have challenges, right? Of course, but it's just different. Like you said, it's really hard to explain unless you've lived both versions, right? On both sides of it. And I don't consider it luck, like you said, because we've worked hard to create the life that we want. If you want something in life, you have to create it. You cannot wait for opportunities for someone to come and hand you, hey, here's $1 million, here's a house in Mexico, go be awesome in the world. Like you have to create the life that you want, right? So I don't consider that luck. But if you ask me, the life that we were after is exactly this, a simple life, live very humbly. We live just like any other average Mexican family here. We don't have the nicest house on the block. We don't have the nicest vehicle on the block. I don't walk around with the Louis Vuitton bag on me anymore. But the sense of peace and happiness that my family feels right now is priceless. There's nothing in the world that I can compare to it, the way we're feeling right now.
So, creating is the key word, right? Because you definitely been creating your life for a long time, right? Since you were little, people noticed that you were very creative and you were looking for something different, right? And you created the world that you wanted, and then you change it, because that's what a creator does. Like you get all this stuff, and then you're thinking, okay, what's next? I'm going to be 53 this year, so I'm like, okay, what do I want? Do I want to go? What do I want to be a CEO now? Because that would be my next step, be a CEO. Or do I want more time? But it took me years to process that information. And I'm sure you were, I'm not there yet, but the changes of having more time is a hard transition, the family and everything. Because you were there planning this before you moved to Mexico. How was that? Like, how was I don't know, was it a year prior to that? Was 3 months before? How you guys were planning this, and how hard was it, right? Because that's not an easy decision.
Yeah. Yeah. So I actually lived here in 2005, and I came kind of on a whim with my two older daughters, and I didn't plan it out, didn't have an income, didn't have a house, nothing. And so I struggled really bad. So I was forced to go back to the United States. This time I knew that I had to make sure, and that was like 20 some years ago, right? I had to make sure that I had a plan, because there was no way I was going to transition my family and it not work. And so we actually started planning in 2020. We started planning in 2020. We built a second business. We built a third business, a business that we turned my husband's home into businesses here. And so we made sure that we were going to have income while we were here, but it wasn't going to consume our lives. It wasn't going to be where we were stuck to a restaurant all day, every day, right? And so we were very strategic in the businesses that we started and how we planned. And then I will say, to answer your first question, the adjustment. I struggled quite a bit, and I think my husband did too, because we were go-getters. We were busy people. From the minute we woke up until 11 o'clock at night, it was hustle, 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 grind, grind, grind. And so when we came here, it was like, here you go. Here's your life back. Here's 24 hours of your day back. Go have fun. And it was like we vacationed for a month, probably just like in that vacation mode, traveling, exploring. And then it started to kind of get to me. I was like, oh my God, I started kind of panicking. You're not being productive in your life. You're not doing anything. And I do have my business. I have a business, right? My husband has his business, but it doesn't require a lot of our time. Maybe I tap in like an hour or two a day. He taps in like maybe once a month to his, right? And so I felt like I'm not being productive in life. I started letting kind of fear creep in, right? I'm not busy. I'm not being productive. I'm not going 500 miles an hour. Like, is my life going to fail? Is this going to fail? And so I had to, and no one in Mexico has a sense of urgency, right? They're not running around like chickens with their heads cut off. So even when we would go to restaurants or we would go here to a store, there were lines. They took their time cooking food. It wasn't like a turn and burn at a restaurant. And so like our whole family had to adjust to living slower, right? To just not, to having patience, to understanding that it's okay to move slow. It's okay to feel bored. It's okay to sit for a half an hour reading a book and having quiet time. Let your creativity and imagination flow. It's okay to go ride bikes for 2 hours at night. So that was an adjustment. And I'll be honest, we're still adjusting to that, right? And so what I keep saying is give yourself some grace. This is what you prayed for. This is what you created. This is what you wanted. How can you fill your time so it feels like to you you're being productive, right? And so I've gotten a little creative here and there, but yeah, so it definitely has been an adjustment, but we're kind of smoothing things out now and transitioning to the new way of living. Yeah.
Cultural adaptation is a real thing. And for some people, it could become a real struggle. So I think what I noticed with you was two things you were dealing with. One is, living with less, and the other one, the cultural adaptation. And United States had this fast pace. And moving back to a country like Mexico or other countries in the world, they don't bring you the food right away, or they're not, after you eat, they're not right there say, giving you the check. It's like, let me at least digest my food before, they don't push you to eat faster or leave quickly. Well, in the U.S., restaurants are busy, so they have to be constantly moving people around. Right? So they rush them to eat so they can leave fast so they can bring another one in. So that's the thing. And then you have the language. Do you speak the language in Mexico?
Yeah. Yeah, I do. It's not perfect, right? But I go up to the centro by myself. I go and walk with my vecinas. I go play basketball with the vecinas. And so I go and volunteer at the school. And so I can get around just fine if my husband's not with me. But I still mess up my words here and there sometimes. But it won't be long before I speak fluently. Back in 2005, when I first got with my husband, because he didn't speak English. But what happened was my husband learned English, and we started speaking mostly English in the house. So I think really that too, adjusting to that. But one thing that I will say is everyone is so welcoming here. No one has made me feel unwelcome or like I don't belong here because my Spanish isn't perfect, which is also, they've embraced our family with open arms, which is also something that I think the United States could learn from, right? If you don't speak correctly, they're telling you, they're in your face telling you, especially now, it's just not like that here. If I don't say something right, I'm like, ¿cómo se dice? And then they say it to me and then they let me practice and then we kind of laugh. But I've made so many friends here. My kids have fit in. They've met so many friends and, it's really just been amazing. It really has.
Something, I had some conversation with my American friends about, why people receive Americans different in their country, but Americans don't. I won't say all Americans, not all Americans are the same.
True.
But I think a lot of Americans what they don't know is that United States is a business country. They make money with everything. Mm-hmm. Whether you cutting grass or painting walls or whatever you do, everything, you make money with everything. And nevertheless, they make all these movies and they make money selling their culture. Because when you make this movie, you're selling your culture to the world. Mm-hmm. I don't know how many people. When I was a kid, I was playing cowboys and Indians, right? That's the thing I saw on American movies. Because we could be gauchos and Indians because we have gauchos, we don't have cowboys. But it was all about, I grew up with all the same movies and cartoons that you grew up with. Mm-hmm. I grew up with the same thing. And when we are exchanging things, Americans ask me, well, you watch that in Argentina? I say, yeah. The Three Stooges, all these cartoons that I watched when I was a kid. And when I came here, I knew I have a similar childhood that you had, just in a different culture. But I have a lot of your culture because I took that from movies. So everybody that comes here and what they see in America, immediately what they think is that they bring you those childhood memories or the cartoons you grew up with that, give you that sense of emotional connection with the American culture. So when you come here, you feel like you're in a movie. That's the first impression you get. And now you think you're going to see, I don't know, Jim Carrey or whoever is one of these funny actors. But then it's not like that. And then you understand that you have all these immigration problems, all these political things that they use immigration to gain vote or, for whatever. And then you understand that it's not that fun. But I don't think American knows that. They don't know that. Some people that maybe go out of the United States, they know, but they don't know that. But everybody around the world knows a lot more about the United States that the United States knows about other people. That's because Hollywood did that stuff. And that's not a criticism, right? This is why some people come here so excited. When an American goes to Argentina, it's not Stallone that's going to Argentina. It's just a regular American, but they immediately when they see an American, they imagine movies and stuff like that. And especially when you see this movie, these kids, they have all these great rooms with all these computers, things and stuff that we didn't have, right? Everything was magical in the movies. All these, even if these action movies where you have all these crazy, people doing like shooting or blowing cars and stuff. We don't have those kind of movies in Argentina or other countries do. Well, now with AI, more things are coming out, but that's the reason. And I think when Mexican people don't have that, first of all, they're a very friendly culture.
Yeah, right? It's beautiful.
Any bad intentions at all. And obviously, even then being next to the United States, even being familiar with all the stuff that happened in the U.S. Argentinians are more far away, so we're not that connected with the U.S. They still have that friendly mind. It's a cultural thing. At the same time, they also grew up with all the American movies and stuff.
You know what I think too? It's opposite. It's opposite. So Americans can't really see because they're living that life, right?
Right.
Right. And they can't zoom out and take a bird's eye view of what it's really like,
Right.
you know? And I feel like it's the same thing for people living in the United States when they see Mexico or Argentina or Colombia or El Salvador, Guatemala, whatever, right? They have this perception of what it's like. And so I've
Right.
gotten a lot of comments on my social media, you know, why would you move your kids to Mexico? You know, I mean, just saying really negative things, right?
Right.
You know, and it's like you have this picture of what you believe that Mexico is like, but it is so rich in culture and there are beautiful areas. And honestly, we went to a big city here the other day to get my daughter's revalidación, and it felt like where we were from, right? So we were at a Sam's Club. Everybody was dressed nice. They had nice cars. Shopping carts were full. They had a beautiful shopping center, like with Starbucks and Lacoste and Columbia and Pandora and all these things, right? But people wouldn't think that there would be a Sam's Club or a Costco or Columbia or whatever, Pandora, or even Starbucks. People, you know, people don't think, so they only see, like, the people that live in the United States, you know, only see either the poorer parts of Mexico or the dangerous parts of Mexico. And so they have this perception as well.
Right.
So I think it works both ways. And so one of my goals is to really create that. Why I created my social media is to create awareness, right, around what life can be like in Mexico. And that's why my name is La Vida Unida, because I want to create that awareness so families can stay together and not get separated by a border, right? You know, there's so many things that happen. Either somebody has to come back or, you know, and maybe the other partner isn't comfortable with coming back because, you know, they're scared of income or they're scared of crime or what have you. And so my passion is to create awareness, spread love and positivity, and show people that it is possible to live in Mexico and have a beautiful life. Have a beautiful life. So yeah, I think it just works both ways.
I think what makes a place better is people, not things, right? But the political brainwash all over the world. I'm not going to point at the U.S. This happening all over the world.
Right.
Keep us divided. And people are just people. That's what it is. And I love people. And that's why I do this, because I like to socialize. Argentinians are very social. I want to hear the stories. I really enjoy learning. I have some very bad podcasts coming up where people went through very bad things, but there's a great story like yours. And I want all of them. And I'm very interested. I think all these stories are very motivational. It also sends a message out to people being in different situations in life. There's a lot of Americans that want what you want right now. And I know that because I talk to them frequently. My friend that retired, he's my best friend, and we've been talking about this for a long time. He announced he retired Thursday. It was very emotional because he's 54 or 55 right now. He retired young. He's just going to go travel the world. I see different cultures, right? And I'm very happy for him that he was able to do that. And so he would like to see your content and learn about your life and how you're doing over there. And many other people in the same boat. People that start realizing that what matters is time. And what matters is people, political views and stuff like that. I'm not interested in any of that stuff.
Right. I agree.
Anyway, so I guess I want to have one last question. Have you been discriminated in any way there or no?
In Mexico, not one time. Not one time. Not by anyone in real life. Everyone greets us. We greet them. We go to the centro. We have I'm a social butterfly. I'm like you. I can make a friend with anyone. My husband's kind of opposite. So we'll go to the centro and he'll be like, oh gosh, here she goes, making more friends. But no, in real life, no, everyone has been so welcoming. They've embraced our family with open arms. I would say the only discrimination or racism or hate that I get is in the online space. And, you know, that's, to me, yes, I am sharing my journey online, but to me, that's fake stuff. And that I just bless and block. I don't even pay attention because I'm on a journey. I'm on a journey to spread positivity and love and create awareness. So in real life, absolutely not. We found a new church home. We've been volunteering and doing outreach, and it's just been amazing. It has. And I guess I just wish that it was reciprocal on the opposite end too, just knowing how loved and welcomed my family has been here. I wish it could be like that everywhere for all the families that choose to move to different countries.
I think social media is changing that. I think the communication that we have right now, because I've been interviewing people from all over the world. I wouldn't be able to do that if it wasn't for social media. I think getting people perspective and opinion in other countries, that live in other countries, it's going to help. That's the same thing you're doing, right? Spreading the word. And this is the only way we can beat politicians and the brainwashing people. We get to know each other. We get to know that at the end of the day, we're people. We want time with our family. That's all we want.
Yes, you got it.
All right, Crystal. This was a great interview. Great interview. I love everything we talk about. I hope people will enjoy it. The very last question now is like, what advice would you give someone that is maybe thinking about retiring like me, or, moving to another country? Because I'm thinking about that. So I'm going to listen to your advice. Or someone that never is about to migrate for a new life, or someone that is in the middle of it.
Yeah.
What advice would you give them?
Yeah. So my first piece of advice that I always give to everyone is make sure that you plan and you prepare, right? That way your journey is going to be a great one, right? And sustainable and successful. So always make sure that you're prepared. You've done your research. You have a way to support yourself, right? And then when you do research, make sure you're doing things the right way, like getting your visas or whatever type of documentation you need. And that way you're following the laws. But then when you do get to the new country, submerge yourself into the culture, into the community, get to know the people, respect the land, learn the language. And then what I would say is, as you're preparing and as you're planning, and you're sharing with your family or friends, you may have some people that, aren't quite for that, aren't quite for you and the decision you're making. But you've got to understand that you're living your life for you, right? And they may not understand it, and that's okay. As long as you prepare, you do your best, and you have good intentions in the life that you're creating, everything is going to go smoothly. You're going to enjoy it, and just don't forget why you're doing it, right? So don't get there and get lost. Remember to just relax, enjoy the moments, make memories, and just remember why you moved in the first place. So, yeah.
Great advice. Do you want to, what's your platform? What's your,
La Vida Unida. Yep, La Vida Unida. And I named it that because I want to help create awareness and keep families united, keep families together. So if I can provide, I've had so many people reach out and say, oh my gosh, your videos are so inspiring to me. I've been so scared. My parents brought me here when I was 3, and now I have fear. I'm scared. And, just seeing how peaceful life is there, seeing how much family time you have. And so that's why I'm doing it, right? But yes, you can follow me on TikTok, Instagram, or Facebook. It's La Vida Unida. And I'm doing my best to get back to all the comments and the DMs. I love all the support, the love that we're getting. And
Crystal, thank you so much. Thank you for being here. It was really a pleasure to have you here and learn from you and exchange different thoughts, different opinion. It was fantastic. I think it was a great podcast. Great information. I hope everybody enjoyed it. So thank you so much, and we'll see you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time. Take care.